The await system in 6 forms allows you to reduce the cost to play a card. This card costs 3, and we can use the await system to pay less for it, maybe 2 energy instead of 3, or even play it for free. Let's look at how this works. When you put a card or place it face down, you cannot flip it over the turn that you place it face down. Now, that is a standard rule of face down cards. The other rule is the await system. Now, the await system allows you to simply await on a card, and when you do this, and any number of face down cards you control can do this on your turn during an act step, you will put 1 await counter on the card. You can use a dice or anything that you like. So here, this card will use the await ability. Now, you can only do this once per card. So we have 2 cards face down here. We can await on this one as well. Now we have 2 cards with 1 await counter each. And you'll notice the orientation of the cards does not matter. If you await on a card, you cannot flip it over the turn that you await on the card. Similar to how when we place a card first, then we cannot flip it over. The same, again, rule here. If we're using the await, we cannot flip the card over manually at that time. However, if there's a card effect or a card attack that causes the card to get flipped over, that is being forced upon you, and the awaiting will not block it. So here, this card has awaited on this turn. Let's say another turn rolls around. It's our turn again. It's during an act step. Each of our face down cards can choose to await. Now, it's not required. And if we choose not to await, then we could flip the card over and pay the cost to play the card. So let's do that for this card. We're not going to await on it, so we may flip it over and do a reveal play. When I reveal play the card, it can go into any orientation because I am playing the card. So here I'll flip it up into this orientation instead of horizontal. And then the card costs 5, but because I had 1 await counter on it, it now costs 4. Let's assume in this example that I have the energy to play the card, because I would not be able to flip it over for a reveal play unless I did have that energy available to me. And now I have this card in play and I only spent 4 energy for it. This card, however, instead of flipping it over, we're going to choose to await on the card, bumping it up to 2 await counters. And if we remember, this card costs 3, so now it will only cost 1 when we're ready to play it. However, because we used await on it this turn, we cannot flip it over manually. The rest of the turn would go through as usual. It would come back to us, and then we could again increment it to 3. Using that await ability, we cannot flip it over. It's going to come back again. And then at this time, we could choose to play the card. And if we flipped it over, because we had 3 await counters on it, it would cost 0, meaning that we can essentially play it for free. But if we wanted to, we could go past 3 on the next turn, going to 4. And then we're not going to get any added benefit for the excess that we have, but it could deceive our opponent, so that may be useful as a strategy. Now, let's say we go ahead and flip the card over, and we get to play it for free. Now, when you flip it over, the await counters will stay there until the card is settled, meaning that it is finished flipping over, and then the await counters are removed from the card and the game. So they don't stick on the card after it has been played. And so here we can see how the await system works.